Welcome to the General Leadership Foundation. Leadership advice from America's most trusted leaders.
Hello. Welcome to the General Leadership Foundation, and thank you for joining us for this 200-second soundbite. I'm Matt Fritz, and today I'd like to share my thoughts with you on the importance of managing your shadow. Napoleon Bonaparte is best remembered for what he represented to those who wrote about him. Truly, he was a conundrum for scholars and historians alike. A principal opponent and prolific writer of her time commented that he was neither good nor violent, neither gentle nor cruel. Having joined the artillery regiment as a second lieutenant at the age of 16, after receiving a commission from the military academy in Paris, young Napoleon learned very early the power of persona and reputation. A courageous image, garnered via a bayonet to the thigh, in the capture of Toulon, catapulted him to brigadier general at the youthful age of 24. By 31, he was leading his army towards an overwhelming victory against Austria. And in the Battle of Austerlitz, he overcame amazing odds to defeat the Austrian and Russian forces who had amassed against him. In 1806, he defeated Prussia and immediately set out to conquer Portugal. His resounding success in the treaties of Tilsit bolstered his confidence and support. Riding a high of success and carefully managed reputation, leading one of Europe's most successful empires, he set out in 1812 to invade Russia. Despite brutally cold conditions, he led his army forward into the breach of the Russian wilderness. More than 650,000 men went forward. Less than 75,000 came out. Thus began the spiraling road of reckoning he brought upon himself via hubris. His final defeat at Waterloo in June 1815 resulted in the end of his empire, along with his exile and imprisonment in St. Helena, where he died, plausibly from arsenic poisoning, in February of 1821. In the course of his wars, he expended an estimated 2,500,000 men in his pursuit of glory over liberty, self-enthusiasm over revolution. Over the course of his rule, he managed his image well and to his advantage. His downfall started when he began to believe his own legend. In short, he lost the ability to manage his shadow, and he paid a heavy price for it. Napoleon's true success came less from his mastery of strategy and more from his knowledge of human nature. According to Dr. Gemma Betros at Australian National University, Napoleon was a man whose character was difficult to define, and he was perhaps all the more powerful because of it. The myth he and his supporters had constructed for him as the savior of France crumbled when he lost track of his shadow and tried to force an image for himself that didn't align with his actions. As a result, Napoleon's ambition and imagination ceased to be tempered by sound judgment and reason. All of us are prone to believing our own shadow and legend, and each of us must be aware of the shadow we cast. Carl Jung described the concept of the persona and the shadow, our public face, show, versus the portion of ourselves we wish to hide. Just as we see when we stand close to the fire, the further we move away from the light, the longer our shadow becomes. Self-awareness is the fire of knowledge, which burns brightly in all of us. As we let our ego drive us further away from the fire, our shadow lengthens accordingly. You cast your shadow and your light over your team every day, and your teammates take on the traits you impart upon them as their leader. A leader's own actions and behavior shape the culture as much, if not more, than any communication process or structure. In his book, Leading from Within, Parker Palmer shares that the shadows that leaders cast have severe impacts on behaviors and team results. Simply put, a leader's characteristics can betray the team's success. As the leader, you have the responsibility to create a culture that encourages innovation. How are you doing this in your team? In closing, I would submit that you have a responsibility to avoid Napoleon's fate for yourself and for the sake of your team. Be aware of your shadow and develop your ability to cast light in your environment. Better yet, find people in your life you can trust to provide honest feedback and help you manage your shadow. Shadow managers point you back to the light and stoke your fire to burn brighter. Be true to yourself and your integrity. I promise you, it's simpler than you think. Avoid the trap of believing in your own legend. Waterloo waits for those who fail in this pursuit. Thank you for joining us for this installment of the 200-second soundbite. Let's continue the conversation at generalleadership.com. Leadership advice from America's most trusted leaders.
Thank you for connecting with the General Leadership Foundation. please register at generalleadership.com.